Hello, and welcome to Opening Bars. Winter was written in 1991 by American singer-songwriter Tori Amos. It really is a gorgeous piece of music about her relationship with her father. I adore her quote from the Little Earthquakes songbook, where she writes, "Summoned to the piano, the Russian music box round played me over and over, till I was wrapped in a blanket with the memory of cinnamon apples on my tongue." When I hear this piece, I can definitely evoke a music box. Let's look at a harmonic reduction. The harmonic movement itself, if you look at the Roman numerals, is straightforward, beginning on the tonic 1, moving to the dominant 5, with the added 7th, then to the submediant 6, and the subdominant 4, with the added B flat 2nd, resolving plagal back to 1. The left hand outlines the root movement with perfect fifth intervals. Only the B flat chord has a third degree, a D flat in the right hand. Notice the chord labels above. The 5 symbolizes to the performer that no third of the triad is present, only the open fifth is played. Let's look at a full transcription now. Just an observation here before we begin. This is notated differently than in the songbook. This is how I hear it played on the album. We are using the treble G clef for both the right hand and the left hand. There are 6 flats and a time signature of 4/4, changing briefly to 2/4 and then returning to 4/4. You can still clearly see the harmonic movement here, now in broken fifths in the left hand. See too how the right hand utilizes many open fourth and fifth intervals as well. This is also a fascinating study of non-chord note treatment. So many interesting examples here. Notice at the outset in measure 1 that F natural, labeled here as an escape tone. That is, a note approached by step and leaping, usually, downwards to its resolution as a chord tone in the following chord. Even though the line looks like it moves upwards if you look at the topmost notes only, the melodic line that Tori sings, highlighted in red, are the notes of significance. So then, we have an E flat on beat 4 linking the D flat and F by step. So we can call that a passing tone. And because it falls right on the beat, it is an accented passing tone. On beat 2 of the second measure, we hear the A flat and D flat struck before the chord changes. Both are non-chord notes to the open C flat fifth, and they resolve, in a sense, untied and inverted on the next beat. So they might be considered anticipation notes. That is, when a note is approached by step and then remains the same for the following chord. Sometimes this is referred to as a note of the second chord played early. This anticipation resolves to a D flat A flat, the D flat which itself is a non-chord note over the A flat, so it's like an appoggiatura, a type of accented incomplete neighboring tone approached skipwise from one chord tone, in this case the C flat G flat, and resolved stepwise to another chord tone, in this case the E flat. And finally, there is a little flourish in the left hand of two 16th notes, the D flat and E flat. That D flat might be considered a neighboring tone, and that is a non-chord tone that passes stepwise from a chord tone directly above or below it, which frequently causes the neighboring tone to create a dissonance with the chord, and resolves to the same chord tone. These definitions are all quoted from the non-chord tone page of Wikipedia. It is well documented and also provides examples from established repertoire, so I urge you to look them up for yourselves. Let's look at the rhythmic elements, beginning with the left hand. The first two measures use an identical pattern of eighth, quarter, eighth. Be sure, when you play it, to highlight the downbeat and make the offbeats less volume, like this. The third and fourth measures change this pattern to a more stable eighth, eighth, quarter note. Even still, I would make the downbeat slightly more pronounced, like this. The right hand offers its own musical challenges. We have such a robust variety of quarter notes, eighth and 16th patterns, a grace note, and in measure 4, dotted quarter and eighth note pattern, complemented by a dotted eighth and 16th note pattern. As far as a performance standard goes, I would not mess around with the tempo or include any type of rubato here. Keep it rhythmic, like the music box. It is particularly important to maintain control of the 16th note motifs. I urge you not to skip this part. You must learn to control and master minute rhythms and motifs before you can begin experimenting with musical nuance. So let's do that now, together, to a metronome. Now that you know all of the notes, we can infuse more of our musical selves into this performance. Because we know the lyrical melody, we can infer and bring that out in the opening bars. In this case, we cannot just simply use more velocity, let's say, on our fifth pinky finger to bring out the topmost melody. We actually have to switch between exterior and interior voicings in the right hand. Now, this is a great skill to practice and master. I wonder what this song would sound like if Tori had included the full chord structures, adding the major and minor thirds. How does the thickening or thinning of tonal texture change how we hear and feel the piece? Or do our brains simply fill in the missing notes somehow? So even though we hear the fundamental tones and, let's say, the first two overtones, do we still perceive major and minor through our experience of the rest of the harmonic series? Well, why don't we just do that? Let's rearrange this to include those missing thirds. Music is not just about creative thinking, it also demands critical thinking. Be sure to always engage both minds in your practice and performance. I hope you enjoyed your lesson today. Remember, don't just play notes, make music. Until next time, thanks for listening.